Well, good morning, everybody, for our wake-up call. I'm so excited for this call today. My name is Patty Carson, and this is a call that we had done years ago. It went on for several years, almost 10 years, and excited today to have Miss Cindy Wright to do the call with us. It was her that had the vision for this back in 2011, and it was because she was struggling where she was in life and just trying to figure things out, and got inspired. And she got inspired and started this call, and it grew to a big call, and just felt like people needed, some hope and some lift for this. This is a positive way to start your day. So I'm not going to waste any more time. I'm going to send it to my good friend, Cindy Wright.
All right. Thank you, Patty, and good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Wake Up Call. Can you hear me okay, Patty? Good?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, good. I'm excited to do this today, and I wanted to kick off the Wake Up Call as we start this new call because Chapter 1 in the book, Little Things Matter, which is the book we're going to be going over, is the reason we started this wake-up call in 2011. I was in a very bad place in my life. We had just moved to Houston. I hate Houston. Did then and still do. Thank God I'm not there anymore. But I had a bad attitude. I was 50 years old, just going into menopause, and moved to that heat, and I didn't know anybody. And, I was just not in a good place. And I picked up this book on my husband's desk. Somebody had given it to him, and I read the first page of the first chapter, and I said, oh my gosh, it touched me. It was like, okay, and I'll tell you in a minute what I read. And so that's why the wake-up call was kicked off from this very first page in this first chapter of this book. So it's Little Things Matter by Todd Smith. You do not need to go get the book, but I highly recommend you having it in your library. Chapter 1 is titled A New Attitude for a New Day. And let me tell you, I needed a new attitude. He says, if you want to enjoy greater success, you must put the past behind you and focus on your future. You can move beyond your failures and disappointments to create a new and amazing life. He said, I'm a firm believer in Napoleon Hill's famous quotation, what the mind of man can conceive and believe it can achieve. Attitude is everything. He said, here's what I know from failing my way to the top. If you continue to dwell upon your past failures, losses, and disappointments, you cannot advance your life forward. Spending time thinking about them will have a negative effect on your emotions and immobilize you from taking action. You have no doubt experienced this negative feeling. We probably all have. Everyone has at some time or another. In fact, anyone who has been willing to venture out of his or her comfort zone has experienced huge disappointment and failure. Where do you stand today? Are you haunted by your past? Are you preoccupied with the memory of negative experiences? Here's what Jim Rohn, one of my favorite teachers, had to say. And this little paragraph is what just was a light bulb for me, because so many people had been telling me, Cindy, just change your attitude. Just change your attitude, because I had a stinking thinking attitude. And I was like, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to flip a switch and just change my attitude. So this is what Jim Rohn said. We must not beat ourselves to death with past mistakes, faults, failures, and losses. The greatest opportunity today brings with it the opportunity to begin. That's the word, begin the process of change. That word begin was like a light bulb for me, because everybody had been wanting me to flip a switch. Flip a switch, change your attitude. But begin was like, oh my gosh, okay, it's just little baby steps. If I do something today to change my attitude, and then a little more tomorrow and a little more the next day, maybe I can actually change my attitude. He says, remember, today is a new day. Then he just goes into how do you learn from your past? Acknowledge your mistakes. When you make a mistake, accept responsibility for the decision that led to the mistake. Denial leads to repetition of the same mistakes and sends your self-image into a downward spiral. Yep. Identify what drove you to make the mistake. Often mistakes can reveal a new part of you. Address them and make needed changes. Don't be discouraged if this process takes 5 minutes, a couple of hours, or a couple of days, or in my case, months. Don't stay mired in the muck. Holding on to disappointment can cause you to be bitter and depressed. Instead, learn from your disappointments and get excited about becoming the person you need to be to achieve your goals and live the life you desire. How do you do this? You maintain a positive attitude. Look at the challenges as opportunities to become a better person. The times when he said, I have grown the most, have followed my major failures. I'm convinced you can work through any challenge that comes your way if you look at it as a chance to improve. He says, develop self-control. This will require a conscious effort. Every time I catch myself thinking about one of my failures, I have a firm conversation with myself. He says, I can't change what has happened. I've learned all I can learn. I refuse to think about it any longer. He said, that's using self-control. He said, don't compare yourself with others. And this, to me, is just, there's a whole chapter on this in this book. With social media today, this happens more than it has ever happened in my lifetime. He said, no matter what you have experienced, there are people who have had it better than you, and there are people who have had it far worse. I've seen some very gifted people miss golden opportunities because they were concerned with what other people were doing and how they were getting ahead. Concentrate on your own growth potential. He says your challenge today is to draw a line in the sand, to separate your past from your future, and begin focusing 100% of your emotional energy on creating a fulfilling life. If you truly know what it is you want and are willing to do what it takes to achieve it, you can live the life of your dreams. And, y'all, this chapter just hit home with me. Not only did I need to begin to change my attitude, I really just had to let go of a lot of things because, like, for me, moving to Houston at 50 years old was just, even though, you know, I had made the decision with my husband to do it, I just had a stinking thinking attitude. What have I done? I can't believe I did this. My daughter was going into her sophomore year of high school. She did not like me because we moved her. And so it was just, you know, I was spiraling out of control. And I had these debilitating headaches, and I did not know why. I mean, I was like, every day my head hurt so bad. I ended up getting MRIs. I got CAT scans. I did everything thinking something was bad wrong with me. But when I began to change my attitude and get out of my funk and get out of that depression and stop feeling sorry for myself and start looking at the positive things in my life, my headaches went away. They just went away. And so it's like, okay, well, I mean, being depressed, being negative, focusing on those things can debilitate you physically, not just mentally, but physically. And so I don't know where any of you are right now in your life, because we all have the ups and the downs. We can look at, you know, what's positive in our life. We can look at what's negative. But if we focus on the negative, you're going to just get negative. And if you focus on the positive, like, okay, Kirby and I always say, hey, but it could be worse. Could be worse. You know, we could be doing that. We could be back there where we were this, you know, what so-and-so. I mean, we always talk about it could be worse. Things could be a lot worse. Let's talk about what's good. So anyway, I'll hand it to you, Patty, to give me your feedback.
Well, I love this chapter. I love this book and your take on it. And kind of what just kept going through my head, and you kind of said it too. I thought you were going to take it from me, but I always say what you focus on grows. And, like, you know, if you focus on the negative, you're just going to keep getting negative and keep getting negative. But if you focus, you know, on what's good in your life, it's going to get better. And so it's like I try to start every day, you know, with gratitude on the good things so that it, you know, it'll be a better day. And It's like I had a mentor once years ago. He was 80 years old, millionaire. I don't know how much money he had, but I was with him one day, and he got a call at 9 o'clock in the morning, and he'd lost $1 million. And you could tell he was like in the stock, and you could tell he was a little bit shook. But I came back for supper that night, and he was joking and happy, and I said to him, I was like, John, how can you be so happy? You lost $1 million today. Because I was thinking, oh, my gosh, I would be forever stewing in that. And he goes, well, honey, he goes, I learned a long time ago, he goes, that if you focus on the bad things, it's just going to get worse. And he said, some people, when something little happens, they think about it so much that it can just take years of their life away. Losing $1 million, he said, could be the worst thing in the world. He goes, I decided I give it about 20 minutes to stew on it, and then I move on of what I'm going to do next and think positive about it. And I think that's what we have to do. It was a good lesson for me, when I get down and feel sorry about, just don't give it, don't give life to it, to move on past it. So that's kind of what I got for it. I think it's a great chapter, a great book, and I'll go back for any final words, Cindy.
Well, the reason that guy is successful is because he is not dwelling on it. He will just continue to be more and more successful because of that. I'm just going to challenge everybody on here I love what Tracy Davis, and Tracy is going to join me on the call on Monday, every Monday, and he was in Kuwait. And he started these wake-up calls. Somebody said, hey, if you'll listen to this every day for 30 days, it'll change your life. And so he was dialing in from Kuwait every single morning. I don't know what time it was, but he literally never missed a morning. He would not go somewhere where he was supposed to be so he could listen to the wake-up calls. So I'm just challenging y'all to dial into this. Do it every morning for 30 days. I mean, it's only Monday through Friday. It's 15 minutes of positive stuff for your mind. And it's just amazing what can happen. Y'all, when we started this wake-up call a long time ago, when I was so struggling, there were mornings I would get up and literally be bawling from depression, from my life. What am I going to do? I don't have any friends. I just, pity party. And then I would literally have to stop crying, blow my nose, and say, good morning and welcome to the wake-up call. And I got through it, though, 15 minutes, and I was amazed how much better I felt after spending 15 minutes trying to give somebody else positive information. I never missed a wake-up call that I personally did for 2 years. Monday through Friday, I did this call for 2 years, and it changed my life. And so I'm just asking y'all to challenge yourself, challenge your friends. This is for anyone. Y'all can invite anyone you want to listen to this and get 15 minutes of good nuggets, good inspiration. I mean, there's so many great nuggets in this book. There's 100 little things that matter in here. So anyway, I'll give it to you to close out, Patty.
Well, I thank everyone for being on here, and great job, Cindy. And like she said, just challenge yourself, invite people. Like when I hear people having a bad day, I was like, jump on this call, and people will come back and tell me, how it helped their life. And it's amazing how it'll speak to you many days of exactly what you need to hear. So we're excited to have you all. I'm going to unmute the line so everybody can say goodbye, and we'll see you tomorrow morning.
Cool. Loved
Good
it.
morning.
Thank you. This was great. Oh.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great morning.
So much.
Thank
I'm full of gratitude for the call.
God
Great.
bless everybody.
Everybody.
Thank you. We appreciate you all.
Have a great day.
Thank you both.